You know that you could perhaps kill somebody?
It's the greatest podcast in the world.
Yes, but I wanted to do hood rat stuff with my friends.
For all of this?
Just a little bit no video games for a whole weekend. I took my grandma car because I got mad at my mom, and then I saw her and my friend come in, and he smoked his cigarettes. I yanked the thing.
There's no fade out?
No, not really. What
No
kind of
fade out, huh?
There was a fade out. I mean, a little bit.
Well, it's just abrupt. It's just bonk.
Oh, you want a little smoother?
A little smooth, a little action,
A
a little smooth action, a little smaction. Welcome to.
Let me change the color of my face because you're coming in a little yellow and I'm a little too white.
Nobody likes that.
No.
Yellow is the new white. Haven't you heard?
I have not.
Oh yeah, the Asians are getting treated like white people. It's a tragedy. They're getting lumped in with the whites. Welcome back to what do we call season? The last episode was season 4.5, maybe.
Yeah, season 4, episode 0.5. So this is episode 2.
Or this is season 5, episode 1.
Yeah, season 4 only had one episode.
It was a special edition. All right, my name is Isaac Chase.
And my name is Edgar Antion.
All right. Well, what is going on in the world today?
A lot of shit happened.
Let's talk about this 3D match.
3D match.
Well, it's not really 3D match. Makers match.
Yeah.
Because this is the most exciting thing probably going on right now in the whole world.
Probably.
Not war with Iran, not Bitcoin, not GameStop.
Nope.
The GFEN Makers match.
The GFEN Makers match, the Guns for Everyone National Makers match. If you are into DIY guns, if you print your own guns, you have a Polymer 80, that type of stuff. Yeah, we're going to be having a competition, a shooting competition for you guys at a work podcast. For you guys, June 19th is going to be fun times. So if you're into the competition shit, super, super exciting stuff.
So this competition is happening in Florida. Which my dumbass was not paying close enough attention, did not realize until after we had that phone call that the match was happening in Florida.
Yeah, it's gonna be happening in Florida. I mean, there's nothing that says we can't make one here.
That's right.
Which we
It'd
will
be like
make
the
one here.
UFC. It'd be like the UFC. We'll have one every couple of months, and within a few years, we'll be at Makers Match 237.
237.
Yeah.
Well, and ultimately that's the goal. I mean, we're going to be having other matches. We're not just going to be focused on those type of competitions. The opportunity kind of came up to work with Pinkus and Are We Cool Yet? And so that's why it came about. So I don't think we ever even planned on making it this our first competition, but that's where we're at right now.
Your daughter's already making accusations.
You guys don't have to talk about it. You guys hear about a bill is trying to pass. Teachers will be allowed to check students' genitalia to see if they are trans. What?
That sounds like some boomer type stuff you'd find on Facebook. But your daughter is an old lady, so I think it fits.
No, that's Annalise. That's not Araceli. Araceli's the old lady. That's
I wasn't looking close. My old eyes. I wasn't looking close.
Yeah, that's my oldest.
Okay.
Who by the way, fucking moved out.
What? Are you a five-person household now?
We are a 5-person household now.
Did you create a hostile environment?
She created a hostile environment. She's like, fuck you, motherfuckers. I am gone.
Well, congratulations to
me
both
or
of you.
Her? To both of you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, that's great. I like it's kind of funny, but it's actually great because that is the first step to really growing up. So
To growing up, making that shit. I'm nervous than no motherfucker. I'm probably more nervous about her than she is.
because as parents, we know how dumb our kids really are. Wow, that's great. That's great news. So what's cool about this match is that it's the first time this has ever happened formally.
Yeah.
It's the first makers gun makers match ever
Correct.
that we know of. I don't know what they're doing down in Brazil.
So there's one that is happening, but I talked to Ral. Durrell, if you don't follow Durrell, he is Glock Don't Lock on Instagram. He does a bunch of this printing stuff. He says that they already have a Bitcoin thing, but when I asked him, he said they have more competition about building, not really shooting. So it's really more about who can build the better gun, not necessarily a shooting competition. Ours is, I guess you can categorize it as a quasi-traditional competition, just like you would see an IDPA or USPSA type stuff. Obviously a little bit different, but that's kind of what we're...
Yeah, you're really putting your gun to the test because ultimately the most important thing to shoot against is a timer. So
Nope, not really. Not really. Yeah, no, for competition, yes, absolutely. I can agree for competition, but for real life, no.
So we've got reliability, accuracy, and durability on trial here with this competition.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, from an engineering standpoint, I mean, I hope people fucking make better guns and learn from this shit. And I was talking to Pinkus last night. We did a live, and I mean, really, we should get large manufacturers to come out and explore this shit. And it'd be nice to see a Smith & Wesson out there or a Glock or an FN or HK to show up and like, let's see what the fuck you guys are doing.
Exactly, yeah.
Because that is the new technology. It's the new, I guess it's kind of the internet. We're in the 1998 internet of 3D printing, and
that means we're right before a bubble.
Yeah, right before that bubble fucking hits.
So, SIG, their is it the 365 platform has basically the trigger group is the gun,
The 320.
or 320. Yeah, sorry, I don't really know what I'm talking about. That seems like a pretty wide open platform for 3D printers to take advantage of. And I think that any gun manufacturer who wholeheartedly embraced this would probably jump out in front in the field.
Yeah.
And if they produce products that were friendly to 3D printing, eventually they'd get themselves shut down by by our overlords.
The overlords.
Boy, what a crazy few months it's been.
It's been bonkers, dude.
Okay, we're
Bonkers.
going to talk politics for just a minute here.
Shit.
All right.
Let's do it.
I want to understand something.
Understand.
Don't you think that all these state governments that are obviously misapplying public health laws and taking advantage of the fact that nobody's standing up to them and shutting down businesses, destroying livelihoods, literally killing people, don't you think that they're opening themselves up to lawsuits? I mean, that would seem the American way to deal with this, right?
You would think, but we're at a point where we don't know how to approach this shit. Like
Dave says nope.
Nobody's really doing anything, and we're so screwed on the legal side of it. It's tough. I mean,
but how are we screwed on the legal side? Isn't the legal system supposed to be our last resort before violence?
Yeah, but we've seen it lately that it just doesn't work that way. Like it's not working that way. It helped that one dude in New York. He sued his government and he won because I think he had racked up about $1 million worth of fines. I'm gonna be Googling this shit.
Yeah, a gym owner or something, or a restaurant?
Yeah. He was a gym owner in New York, upstate New York. He won his lawsuit, but it's going to get a Orchard Park Gym wins in court. Will be allowed. So this is in Orchard Park, New York. Gym will be allowed to open at 100% capacity after being granted a preliminary injunction by a New York State Supreme Court judge. So it's kind of working, but you don't see enough of it.
It's too bad about that judge dying of that self-inflicted gunshot wound.
Twice to the head.
Twice to the head.
So, I mean, there's obviously evidence that it can work, but I think there's and we see this in the gun community. We see where like, oh, well, yeah, I guess I could sue them, but nah, I'll just deal with it like this. So people are just not willing to go through the fucking shit.
The way that the mass media and the previous administration and this administration have dealt with things like hydroxychloroquine and the vaccines and the mask thing and recommending shutdowns and all that, it just seems like this is just ripe for some of the largest tort lawsuits in world history. And there's got to, I mean, you know lawyers, I know lawyers. They're not principled. If they feel like there's money to be made, they're going to try to make money.
Yeah.
So I mean, if nothing else, the lawyers would do it. So
yeah, I don't know. I just, it's tough. I mean, tough in the sense is understanding where the human mind is at. Because you want to call them lazy, but I don't even think it's lazy at this point. I think it's just straight up Stockholm syndrome. Like it's really just not. People are just happy with being retarded.
It's like when I go out to the grocery store, every single person is wearing a mask. I do not run into people in Colorado Springs who are not wearing masks. But you get behind closed doors anywhere, and nobody's wearing a mask. And I'm like, why aren't you guys not masking up in those public places? Like, we're going to be sitting here talking to each other for, well over an hour. Your risk of exposure is a lot higher here than it is in the grocery store. It seems to me. I don't know. It's crazy. It's
just like collectively we're just a bunch of retards.
I would put money on that. I would take that bet.
Like we're just collectively we're just too retarded to really understand. I seen this post and it's this dude from the UK and like fucking his sentiment was like, we're just disappointed. We're watching the U.S. You say you're ready to fight. You say you got guns. You outnumber your military like 100 to 1. And you're being shut down. You're being locked down. You keep talking about 1776. You keep saying this. You keep saying that, but you're not doing anything. Like, you're letting the entire fucking world down. And again, it's just kind of like you mentioned. It's not. I mean, we got to go through a system first. 1776 didn't happen overnight. It started way before that. Lawsuits and
The
riots
Boston
and-
Massacre was in 1770.
Yeah, like it started in small little pockets like that. So it's not like we expect a full blown revolution right off the bat. But nor do I want one. I've said that plenty of times. I'm too much of a little bitch to be there. But at the same time, it's just like
I'm starting to think that the revolution that's on the horizon is very possibly going to be a techno revolution,
yeah.
and we're all going to be playing techno music. We'll be down at Club Revolucion in Tijuana listening to techno. Because of what happened with this GameStop stuff, like the power of the internet, the power of connectivity, the power of technology goes both ways. I think we are headed into a complete techno authoritarian worldwide
Yeah,
trend, definitely.
correct.
So it would seem like the most logical way to fight that would be to use the same tools.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
and it seems like the most logical at this point. You've got way too many people that are way too fucking spread out. So even if we want to get together, it's super difficult. We don't have the resources to get together all in one place. So you'd have to have a shit ton of tiny little pocket. So if you went to traditional war, we're way too spread out. That's kind of been the disadvantage. But now with technology in our hands, it's pretty easy.
It might be the only way to unite even people's ideologies, because I think what we saw with the GameStop thing was a pretty diverse group of people banding together to inflict damage on the people who'd been hurting them.
Yeah, I mean, everybody was happy about that shit. I don't give a fuck who you were, unless you were the hedge fund managers, and then you weren't happy about that shit. But it seemed like everybody else was, and that's really what we need. Is I wish guns was there. I think guns are starting to slowly get to that point where it's a universal thing, and it doesn't matter if you're a Republican or Democrat. I mean, we're seeing the change, but it's still so divisive, and fucking over the people who've been fucking us for a long time is kind of universally accepted as a go-ahead.
I hope so. I mean, first of all, that might be our only chance at some kind of a effective yet peaceful revolution. But I don't know if there is such thing as effective peaceful revolutions.
Yeah.
I mean, possibly, but on a worldwide scale, I doubt it.
Historically, never.
None of the activity going on in the streets in Europe and here in the streets in the U.S. And even in other places like Australia, none of that's been peaceful.
Yeah.
As far as rejecting the COVID stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
they've had riots in Amsterdam. I don't know if they're still going on, but I know they had at least 4 days of riots because they tried to enforce a curfew in the Netherlands, which apparently has not happened since the Nazis occupied the Netherlands.
That's crazy.
And we're talking old people out there who still had memory. I mean, not directly, but they lived with that memory that the people who want to keep you in your houses at night are literally Nazis. So not like literally Nazis, like the metaphorical Nazis
Correct.
of Twitter.
The actual
Literally Nazis.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so the idea that that this is going to be peaceful, I mean, I don't know. I think once you take away people's livelihoods, you give them plenty of reason to get nice and violent. So
Yeah. Well, and Mexico is slowly starting to get that way.
Dave says Talking Heads were talking about the Reddit crowd saying, "Oh, they're just bored, greedy, right-wing internet trolls." Have you been on internet? I mean, not you, Dave, but have these people been on Reddit? What right-wing people are you talking about?
Yo, I didn't realize that Reddit was such a fucking censor place, dude.
Oh, I mean, the Chinese have a huge stake in it. $300 million investment.
Dude, as much shit as we've seen on Reddit, and I have a disdain for Reddit for, just because of that one fucking idiot. So it's crazy to see how much they fucking censor, dude. Like they censor a fucking ton of shit.
And I want to make the point that I'm all for that on private platforms.
Correct. Yeah.
I'm all for Amazon kicking Parler off of their system. I'm all for Google
on the freedom front, on the freedom
on
side
the,
of it.
Even on a commercial and free market sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
There is no. I firmly believe that there is no problem that the market could not solve with enough incentive.
Yeah.
And Parler got taken down pretty hardcore, and that was competitive. And make no mistake about it, that's all that was. All that was an anti-competitive move to shut down a competing service with her. But all you're doing is giving people enough reason to put in the time and the effort to build something better.
I am baffled, and we've talked about it before, but I'm still baffled. Outside of the financial side of it, I'm fucking baffled that there's not enough conservatives that have a fucking genius, a Zuckerberg, a fucking Google or whatever out there to create something. So you had Parler, but they done fucked up and they didn't. I don't even know what the fuck they did, to be honest with you, other than allow posts to happen without censorship. So it's pretty incredible that the conservatives have not been able to find some sort of smart individual. Like, what does that say about conservatives and their ability to build something worthwhile? And universities create commies. Yeah, but then the argument with universities creating commies is Zuckerberg dropped out once he stole Facebook from that one other person. Steve Jobs, when he stole the idea, or I guess he didn't really steal it, but he learned how to market someone else's idea. I just found out something interesting that I should have known, but we'll talk about that later.
Write it down because I don't want to forget. But
we'll forget.
When I see these companies acting this way, it's funny. I mean, there's been a lot of hypocrisy going on in the last couple of months, especially in January. But as soon as all the right wingers get kicked off of Twitter and Facebook, they are crying and asking for government intervention. And the left has always complained about the term terrorist being thrown around willy-nilly and being used against people who don't deserve that. And here they are using that term to classify not just the quote unquote insurrection that happened at the Capitol, but they're using the term financial terrorists against these Redditors. And it's once that term is the restrictions or the norms around that term changed.
Yeah,
they can apply to anybody. And so there's been a lot of hypocrisy because I consider myself more right-leaning, centrist. I don't even know where I put myself. I tend to lean a little bit right. Okay. But I've been saying since 2002 that this war on terror was going to come back to bite us at some point. And I have been called a communist by plenty of people on the right for saying that. And here we are. It's the exact argument I've been making for almost 20 years, which is you want to hand these powers over to the government. You do not know who will be controlling these powers in the future.
Correct.
And you don't know, you can't even imagine how quickly that can change on you. So Cindy says Telegram and MeWe. Telegram and MeWe are centralized platforms. And I know people are using them, but Telegram has already been kicking groups off, extremist groups, and MeWe will as soon as the pressure is applied. They have no choice. It's either play ball or get crushed, and so that's what they're going to do. So there are decentralized platforms out there like Mastodon that you have to pay for if you want to participate in. And they're very private and they're very small, but those are the ones that stand a chance to survive. So Dave said there's always someone who can take you off the internet if your DNS gets blocked or you can't get a domain from a registrar. You're fucked. Yeah, but there are ways around it. I'm not the biggest tech genius, but I understand enough. There are ways around it.
I mean, becoming your own ISP, I've been looking into that. We talked about this a little bit about how the fuck to go about all this is like, and I kind of half jokingly said, "Fuck it, let's become our own ISP." And ever since then, I've been looking into. Obviously, it's expensive, but even becoming your own ISP is tedious, but it's not as difficult as one might think. Like it's actually pretty fucking easy, dude. Outside of the financial, and dealing with the FCC a little bit, like overall, it's pretty fucking easy.
Facebook and Google and Twitter and YouTube have done a really good job of brainwashing people into believing that is the internet. That if you can't participate on these giant platforms, then you don't have internet. You don't have access. There's no platform for you to speak on. And that's just not true. It's never been true. But we've kind of accepted this self-defeating mindset of, please, please, please don't kick me off. Please don't kick me off. People will rail against Twitter all day long about how horrible Twitter is. Like, why are you there? Well, because, that's where everybody else is. Well, yeah, that's where everybody's going to stay too, unless you guys start thinking for yourselves.
Correct.
So,
yeah. And so the whole money thing, and I've said this for a very long time, in the political world, I've dealt with both Dems and Republicans, and Democrats have always been big on risk taking. Conservatives, true to their name to a degree, are afraid of dumping money into shit. So and that might be the thing, is they're afraid of dumping money into a Parler type that can be successful and open up their own servers and shit like that, because it's not that difficult to buy servers. Like, you can run your own home shit for about $10,000. So you can't tell me that a fucking Trump Jr. with access to several $1 billion can't fucking start a really nice server center somewhere, and do this shit, start hosting, and it's not that tough if you've got the money.
Yeah, and if you got the money, you got the know-how. I mean, somebody built this already. People have been building and maintaining and expanding this for a long time. They're out there. They understand how it works. The question is there a commercial benefit? And the more people who get kicked off of these services, that's more market share for you if you can figure out how to do it. So waiting for Elon Musk to create something too. Let me just say, Elon Musk is he is reposting the dankest memes. His Twitter feed cracks me up, man. He was like all in on the Dogecoin spike. Like he's just, the man does not care, and I respect that. I respect that a lot. Lou Tang said they're not bad, but I don't see how they apply in the civilian self-defense realm. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Maybe you're catching up and you're talking about 3D guns, printed guns and stuff.
Also, good time to let you guys know we are on 3 different platforms. So if we bring shit up and you're like, I don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
We have 2 different cesspools of naysayers with unwashed asses.
Yeah.
We're on 3? Did you say 3 platforms?
Yeah, we're on Gun Expert. We're on my channel.
Oh, okay.
And then we're on Facebook. So 2 platforms, 3 different channels.
Okay. Wow, we're everywhere.
We're fucking everywhere. So
we're the ABC of podcasting.
Fuck yeah.
So I want to get back to what Ryan said. Hardcore, real leftists are very wary of using that term. Liberals aren't leftists. Okay, yeah, I agree that there's a pure sense or a pure form of these ideologies, but I don't know where you draw that line and where are these people standing up against this stuff. Because if they were real leftists who are wary of using the term domestic terrorist, or actually what the term is now, which is domestic violent terrorists, which is a crazy neurolinguistic programming trick to make all Trump supporters look like wife beaters, which I'm sure some of them are, but where do you draw that line and how do you define it? And it's the same problem that we've been accusing the right of not standing up against the problems that they don't want to claim. They want to say Trump is not a racist, but they're not, clarifying that they don't hate Mexicans. So is there a peaceful kind of terrorist? Well, it depends on who you ask, I guess.
Yeah. Yep.
So pro-capitalism is the line. So on which side of pro-capitalism? Like anti-capitalism is a real leftist?
Yeah.
I love Ryan. I love this dude who will come in here and not be afraid to say something like that.
And he's one of the the only leftists that we know, because we know a few of them. We've trained with the socialists and shit like that. That's not afraid to show their fucking face and all that stuff. And I always appreciate that shit.
That's right. Even if you're ugly.
Even if you're ugly.
Elon Musk is a space alien. Well, until we have proof to the contrary, I'm going to have to agree with that. Yeah. So it has been such a ride of hypocrisy in the last month. It's absurd, the level of hypocrisy going on. And part of me is just like sitting back in awe. I heard a Chinese, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a Chinese saying the other day, which it's a proverb or a greeting. It's more of a greeting, and it's "May you live in interesting times." And I was like, that's where we are right now. We are definitely living in some interesting times.
Fucking interesting shit, which is weird because it's like the government sped up the shit that they were afraid was going to happen. Like it's I don't know if they did it inadvertently.
Yeah, you always have to wonder, like, could a conspiracy this large actually work?
Mm-hmm.
Or is this just the natural progression of everything we are and where we are in life in this time in history? It's both a proverb and a curse. I think it depends. It depends on how you look at it. I'll tell you, many of the things that I've experienced with Edgar, if you'd have told me right before it was about to happen, I would have said, nope. That does not sound fun at all. But afterwards, you're like, that was pretty cool. I'm glad I got to see that. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, as a amateur, not very good student of history, where we are right now and where it looks like we're heading makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah.
So regardless of what grand conspiracies may or may not exist, this is the natural progression cycle of civilization.
Like they sped it up though, like and maybe that's why people are not knowing what the fuck to do. Because usually we have a much longer time to figure this shit out. Because shit keeps happening, and it seems like 2020 just sped that fucking shit up about 50 years almost. Like it did like fucking quick. Like in the span of a year, we were like, fuck it, and I think we're just losing our shit and just not knowing where the fuck to fit in.
Yeah, I would agree with that. The rate of change. I mean, I've said this many times. If you told everybody in January of 2020 where we'd be in January of 2021, not a single person,
no one
would believe you.
Nope.
So, I certainly, I wish I had a little bit of foresight.
Yeah.
I did have a little bit of foresight. I wish I had thought more deeply about it, because I said all through 2018 and through 2019 that this election was going to be the craziest election that we've ever had.
Yeah.
And I was convinced that the Democrats were going to try to steal this election one way or the other.
Yeah.
And if I just thought a little bit further about that, I could have made the connection to the ammo and gun panic.
Yeah.
And I could have made a ton of money. I mean, it wouldn't have been hard, you know.
No, and you almost don't even have to gouge.
I know. I mean, just if I would have bought at prices in 2018 and 2019 and sold at the price that I paid at Sportsman's Warehouse yesterday, I would have more than doubled my money.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You found ammo?
Yeah, actually, I had a student who left the class and forgot a couple of things, and I was headed back to the Springs, and she lives in the Springs. She texted me, and she's like, "Hey, I left my jacket. Would you mind bringing it to me?" And then she said she was at Sportsman's in Pueblo, so that's where I met her. I gave her her stuff, and I was like, "Did you go in there?" She said, "Yeah." "Do you have ammo in there?" "Oh, yeah." I was like, "Sweet." So I paid 34 cents a round for a 9mm yesterday.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah.
For
I mean,
today's time.
It's not great, but it's way better than a
Right.
lot of online stuff I've seen.
Yeah.
Okay, I can't let this go. What Ryan said. ANCOMs and communists are very against using the terrorist term. Let me stop you right there. First of all, what the hell is an ANCOM?
Anarcho-communist?
Again, what the hell is an ANCOM? And a narco-communist?
It's weird, dude.
That is not a political system.
It is.
You cannot have an anarchist and a communist
Try
occupying the
explaining that.
same.
Try explaining that to the ANCOMs. We had them over at the shop. They were working on some shit. The whole socialist group, and a few of them are ANCOMs. And I was the same way. Like, what the fuck do you mean you're an ANCOM? Like, how is this shit fucking possible for you to be an anarchist and a communist all at the same time? They fucking boom. Like it's like two PPs trying to fight each other. Like I guess it works, but I mean, like one will not receive the other one.
Yeah. And the other part, which is communists, are very against
He
using
says this fucking fuck.
Edgar's.
He said Edgar. He just doesn't know yet. No, I am not a commie.
You gotta love the optimism there. And then the second part of this is communists are very against using the terrorist term. They don't use that term, but they certainly have that classification. In communist Russia, the term was wrecker. So wreckers were responsible for everything that went wrong in the communist society, and they got blamed for everything and lined up against the wall and shot. Or if they were unlucky, spent 10 years in the gulag. So
in the goulash.
So, and wrecker could be a loose translation of the word terrorist, although terrorist is much more political than wrecker. But wreckers were accused of anti-communist behavior, which would be a political designation. So that's one thing I really was shocked about reading this book about Stalin, was that the worst punishment was not being shot. It was being sent to the gulag. Like if you did something really, really bad, they're not going to take you outside and shoot you. They're going to send you to the gulag.
What's the gulag?
It's the work camps and capital, not capital. I just read what he wrote. Concentration camps, but they didn't gas people in those camps. They just starved them and worked them to death.
Oh,
so, and it was, most of them were up in the far north. So, you know, a lot of them froze to death. So if you made it through 10 years of the gulag, you were a superhuman.
fucking bad motherfucker.
Yeah. Specific to the Capitol riot, I mean, the term is being applied. And I mean, where are the leftists who are standing up and saying, "Hey, we shouldn't be calling these guys terrorists"? Because I haven't seen any. The only leftist I know who probably would say that would be Noam Chomsky. He probably would say not to call these people terrorists.
Yeah.
Call them peaceful protesters.
Peaceful protesters.
So I don't think we've actually had an episode since January 6th when you texted me that picture.
Oh, fucking Mr. Bison?
the Vikings standing at the lectern in the
Dude,
House of
that day
Representatives.
was fucking nuts. So that day, January 6th, I take a nap, and I think I woke up in the morning. I went to bed late, as I often do, just because insomnia and shit like that. And all kinds of shit. Anyways, so I go to sleep, wake up a little bit. I think you had sent me a text, and I text you, and then I went back to bed. And then I didn't wake up until about 3-ish, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe. In the afternoon, I was like, what the fuck? Like, how long have I fucking been asleep?
Rip Van Winkle over here.
Like, what the fuck happened? Like, I wake up to fucking a fucking Viking Speaker of the House.
Holding a spear, standing on the dais of the House of Representatives.
For a moment there, I was like, what the fuck? How long have I been asleep? Like, this is fucking crazy. Like, it's fucking
and I had been following that action all day, and I still hadn't seen that. And so when you texted to me, I started laughing so hard because I saw this going down, but I didn't know it had gotten that far.
Yeah.
I do want to give a quick firsthand account because I know that the news has been saying a bunch of things about what these insurrectionists did. I learned a lot about Kenosha. I learned a lot about Atlanta, and I learned a lot about Washington, D.C. because I was watching live streams while they were happening. I wasn't waiting for the news to tell me. I had the opportunity to watch these things happen live. And one of the live streams I was watching, there was, a few hundred protesters outside one of the doors of the Capitol building, and they were chanting and they were yelling.
Yeah.
They were yelling, "Let us in, let us in, let us in." But they were not beating down the door. They didn't break anything. And eventually the Capitol Police opened the doors and let them all in.
Correct.
And then asked them to leave, which they did, and then opened the doors again and let them come in again. And I was baffled by that. I was like, nobody was breaking anything. They were all standing around bewildered. Like, what do we do now?
Yeah.
And some of them did walk into the House chambers and obviously took off their clothes and stood there with no shirt on. And I'm not saying nothing happened. Like, there were broken, there was broken glass.
Some chick got shot.
Some chick got shot. An unarmed person got shot, which apparently is enough reason to burn down a city, but not in this case. So yeah, it didn't go down like it was being said on the news. Now, it did get violent in places. There were fights going on between some of the protesters and some of the Capitol Police. But if you apply the same rules for the Black Lives Matter protests, you can't judge the actions of a few. You can't judge the actions of the whole by the actions of a few. It's like, well, some windows got broken, but this protest needed to happen.
Correct.
Oh shit! Trenchwork Chronicles is here. What's up?
Yup.
So if we apply that logic, based on what I saw a bunch of people who were let into the Capitol.
Yeah. So the only thing I seen different in the Black Lives Matter riots and protests, because we quickly started identifying a bunch of white liberals that were doing the bombings and the fucking fires and the breaking of the windows, is you did see a lot more video coming out of that saying, hey, this ain't us. This isn't our movement. This is just little pockets of assholes doing asshole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I haven't seen that much. In fact, I personally have not seen any. I've heard they exist, but I have not seen anybody who was there be like, no, like that wasn't us.
I have, but it's small.
Yeah,
it's
it
very
was only
small.
one day.
It was only one day. It was
Correct.
a much smaller crowd than some of these Black Lives Matter protests. Not to say it wasn't large. It was a good size. I'd be proud of those numbers if those were my numbers.
Correct.
But in general, it was smaller. It was one day. But instantly, because I do troll and ARF.com quite a bit. Antifa. It was Antifa.
It was on.
I do troll ARF.com pretty regularly, and I was seeing immediately people saying, hey, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. These people don't look like Trump supporters. They're not acting like Trump supporters. There were a couple of Antifa people who were identified in the same way that Antifa doxes other people. There was a pretty well-known Antifa guy that was in the Capitol building filming as that woman got shot. So there was an element of the denial going on.
Yeah.
But a lot of them were pretty excited. A lot of the people on the right were excited, like it's happening. We're going to make them pay. We're going to take over the Capitol, even though they're not there. My sports team is better than your sports team.
Yeah.
So it's exactly the same behavior, in my opinion, on both sides, except in DC, there was, the destruction was not private property. The destruction going on was public property.
Where it should be at, to be honest with you.
If you're going to take over anything, if you're going to break windows and beat doors down, it should be on the buildings that you have a rightful place to occupy as a citizen of this country. We don't have kings in this country. We don't have palaces in this country.
Yeah.
People are like, well, that's everybody's property. Okay, we'll let everybody in then. So that's exactly how Q acts. Q and Antifa are two different trailer parks beef. That is so true. Oh, I love that. So I really don't know what to make of what happened on January 6th, other than to say wild times we're living in.
It's crazy. It's pretty interesting. I mean, I think I've already said this, but like it just, I growing up, I'm more of a sucker for nostalgia than I am more of a history dude. I like history because of the nostalgia, and I always would look at those fucking late 1800s, early 1900s, like fuck, it'd be pretty incredible to have been there. Buster Douglas and fucking silent films and all that shit. Like it just would have been incredible to live through that shit. And then now we're kind of living through that shit, and it's just like, this is fucking weird, dude. This is fucking wonky.
Yeah.
Because like we're gonna be in the history books. Like our era, more than anything else, is gonna be in those fucking history books. Like a lot of the shit that like 9/11, a lot of people are probably like, oh, that was nothing compared to fucking 2020. That shit was fucking crunk.
Well, so yeah, the comparison to 9/11 is interesting because 9/11 was one day, and it was a massive amount of change in one day.
Yeah.
But the amount of change on 9/11 does not compare with the amount of change that we've seen in the last 12 months.
Yeah.
It happened a lot slower, but I mean, we're seeing some huge shifts here. I mean, the destruction of small business, that is unrecoverable. We will never recover from that because small business is always fighting large, corporations.
Yeah.
And large corporations have been allowed to function, be open fully. Amazon didn't have to close any warehouses.
Nope.
Not Best Buy, Walmart, Costco, Sam's Club, the places that are taking down the neighborhood markets, they didn't have to close. I'm not even sure that they were subject to the same restrictions on the number of people in the building. And if they were, that didn't last very long.
They pretended. I think I went to a Home Depot once, and only on that day where they're like, oh, we could only allow like 50 at a time.
Yeah.
But other than that, it was just like I only seen that shit once.
Yeah.
We actually got snitched on. I didn't even tell you.
What?
Yeah, we got snitched on.
When?
I think it was last week. Yeah,
wow,
last
recent.
Week. Yeah, pretty recent. Yeah, I think it was last week. It was the day that I think the Thursday that Tisha was waiting for a package.
So, did some turd in a suit come by and try to write you a ticket or something?
Yeah, kind of. And Tisha's like, manager's not here. Tisha didn't want to deal with him, so I hit him up. I was like, what's up? And he's like, oh, well, somebody said something about a gun store. I was like, you were in there. I was like, you tell us what the fuck we were doing. He's like, yeah, there really wasn't anything there. Like there was nothing. I was like, so fuck you talking about?
Have them come out again on February 23rd. Write you a ticket.
Yeah. Oh, that would be amazing. Oh man, that would be incredible. Because all we have to do is be like, you fucking homophobe,
Yep, there you go.
you fucking racist homophobe,
Yeah. You hate brown
Oh.
people?
and you hate fucking gays. Oh man, that would be amazing.
That would be on the level of White Appreciation Day, I think.
Oh, that would be incredible, dude. No, so I ended up sending him pictures of people waiting outside because you know me, I make people wait outside. I'm not as nice as you and the Gucci brothers
Yeah. Yeah.
that let people in fucking 3 hours early.
So I actually had a student that was there before I got there the other night,
Uh-huh.
and I was pretty annoyed, you
Oh,
know.
yeah.
But what, like, first of all, she's a lady, so you know, I have this like natural inclination to be like, open the door, come on in,
Yeah.
you know, chivalrous, you know, oh, don't wait other than cold, have a
Yeah.
seat, you know. But then I found out she drove 2.5 hours to be there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I was
Just
like,
gotta use the bathroom and
yeah,
all
I'm
that
like,
shit.
what am I gonna say? Hey, I'm gonna need you to stand outside for
stand outside.
for 25 minutes,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So
I think I've
Yeah.
only done that a couple of times where people are like, come on, dude, like, I gotta pee. I guess. Whatever. But then they pee and they get the fuck out.
okay, please leave. We need to clean the bathroom again. Dirty
So-
street people.
Yeah. So, anyways, I sent his ass fucking pictures, and shit like that. I was gonna get bonkers, but I was like, nah. He wasn't in Tri County. He was with the city of Thornton.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he was with the city of Thornton because Tri County apparently doesn't have enough people, and he said so too. He says, you know what? Most of these complaints are coming from people who are just pissed off at that business.
Yeah, anti-competitive.
Yeah, so people are it's either old employees that are just disgruntled or other businesses that are just not enjoying the success of other businesses or and,
Yeah.
and all that shit.
That inspires a certain kind of rage in me that I have to try to check, you know. But it reminds me of there's been all these conversations going on across Twitter and the mainstream media and everything that we need to start making lists of all these terrorists who supported Trump, you know, blah 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 blah, you know, and all these people on the right. Oh my God, the trains are gonna come, you know, like I'll be the last one on the train. I'm gonna, you know, I'll die before I get on the trains. And at the same time, they're like, we need to make our own lists, you know, like good. Now we know who's on our list. I'm like, what do you have a problem with getting your shit pushed in, or do you actually have a problem with lists?
Yeah.
Because I think you're just mad that you're on the losing end of this
Correct.
exchange here.
Yeah.
You know, like if you had the opportunity, you would act the exact same way.
Correct.
So
Yeah, it's crazy, dude.
there's, yeah, you have to keep a sense of humor about it, because otherwise you're going to get heartburn. Yeah, we had a complaint from an upset customer that had to wait to get loaded last summer on the train.
No, for doo-doo. Ryan is a doo-doo slinger.
A doo-doo slinger.
Yeah, he fucking slings
He's a
doo-doo.
politician.
He's a
He's a presidential candidate. What?
he's a doo-doo slinger. Called and complained the laborer wasn't wearing a mask. See, and that's just retarded because chances are that the laborer, fucking poor little brown dude, was probably outside.
Ah, fertilizer, landscape materials.
Yeah.
Doo-doo slinger. Got it.
Doo-doo slinger.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it seems like a perfect way to get rid. I mean, and this is the problem with when you create a society that incentivizes ratting people out for stuff.
Yeah.
Is there's no way to avoid that people are going to rat each other out just for the sake of getting rid of somebody they don't like. Happened rampantly during the Spanish Inquisition, happened rampantly during the French Revolution, the Russian Revolution, and all through communist Russia. You wanna get rid of somebody? Drop the dime on them.
Yeah. So this is how I feel about this shit.
That guy in Evergreen that Dave is talking about needs to get dealt with.
Guy in Evergreen.
There's
Oh. Which kind of evergreen? There's a
Oh.
schmuck up here in Evergreen running around looking for.
businesses to report.
Like, why are you so fucking obsessed with it? This is what I don't get. Is why be obsessed with shutting other businesses down?
It's a sick person.
So we think, we're kind of thinking. So it's either the one student who asked if we were taking COVID precautions and shit like that. Like, this shit's on the website. Like, it's all on the website on what we're doing for COVID. Like, yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and list it all shit because you're an adult. Like, you should be able to read this shit all by your fucking self. Like, I shouldn't have to. Plenty of people showed up to COVID classes without me fucking holding their hands. So he asked, "What are we doing for the shooting classes for COVID stuff?" And me being me, I was like, "We're fucking taking stool samples in and out."
Like the Chinese.
Yeah, exactly. That's what the fuck they recommended. Is just fucking stick your fucking finger up there.
They're doing in China. They're doing nasal swab and anal swab
And
tests.
it's
I'm like,
retarded.
in what order?
yeah, like pull it out. Can you smell this? No, I can't smell it. You got COVID, homie.
He got COVID. He can't smell his own shit.
So it's either that dude, or it's another business that's mad that we take up a lot of parking spots.
I want to make. Oh yeah, that's always a possibility.
Yeah,
Neighbors who are dissatisfied that you're actually bringing in possible business
The
into the
possible
area.
business,
Yeah. Yeah. I had. What was I gonna say? Oh crap! Now I can't remember.
So,
This-
anyways, for those people, we have this, and I hope it's the right one. I hope I queued it up properly. Let me share this shit, and hopefully we can hear it. Doop.
Can't hear it. I could hear it a little bit before, but now I can't hear it.
You can't hear it?
Nope. What a rugged looking dude.
All been turned on its head. Safety. Safety first is, I mean, going back to, OSHA and PETA and the Humane Society, I mean, what if OSHA got it wrong? I mean, this is heresy, what I'm about to say, but what if it's really safety third, right? No, I mean, really, what I mean to say is, I value my safety on these crazy jobs as much as the people that I'm working with, but the ones who really get it done, they're not out there talking about safety first. They know that other things come first. The business of doing the work comes first, the business of getting it done. And, I'll never forget, up in the Bering Sea, I was on a crab boat with the Deadliest Catch guys, which I also work on in the first season. We're about 100 miles off the coast of Russia, 50-foot seas. Big waves, green water coming over the wheelhouse, right? Most hazardous environment I'd ever seen, and I was back with a guy lashing the pots down. So I'm 40 feet off the deck, which is like looking down at the top of your shoe, and it's doing this in the ocean. Unspeakably dangerous. I scamper down, I go into the wheelhouse, and I say with some level of, incredulity, "Captain, OSHA?" And he says, "OSHA, ocean." And he points out there, But in that moment, what he said next can't be repeated in the lower 48. It can't be repeated on any factory floor or any construction site. But he looked at me and he said, "Son," and he's my age, by the way, he calls me son. I love that. He says, "Son, I'm the captain of a crab boat. My responsibility is not to get you home alive. My responsibility is to get you home rich. You want to get home alive? That's on you." And for the rest of that day, safety first. I mean, I was like, so...
Yeah, so
if people would just fucking mind their own fucking, we're back to last year already. Mind your own fucking business. If you're afraid of fucking COVID, stay the fuck home. Don't snitch on us. Don't snitch on your fucking neighbor. If you don't want to catch that shit, fucking dust this fucking sand off your cooter. We had somebody, dude, and I hope they're listening. I 100% hope they're listening. They showed up to the fucking class, and it was a COVID class, so I guess good for them. But they're like, "Oh, I'm missing a lung. My immune system is shit. All this stuff. And the like, why the fuck you out? Like, like you're the one fucking person, you're gonna die, and then they're gonna blame me for this shit. Like your dumbass made the decision to fucking come out. And if you're truly this afraid of this shit, then just fucking stay the fuck home. Because again, it is these people that will die from it and be like, oh, it's the fucking anti-maskers. Like, no, why were you hanging out with the anti-maskers?
Well, and like how do you know where you got it? How do you know? You know, I mean, maybe very early on when only a few people had it, there could be like some actual contact tracing, but how do you really know where you got it from? Unless you were hanging out with one person who was really sick and you're like, you got sick a day after you hang out with them, maybe. But you're in a public place. You don't know who is who. You don't know. You're not ever going to talk to these people again. That contact tracing app is nonsense at this point. They've admitted it. It's nonsense. It's not working because nobody's using it. It's, you know, what are you going to blame your death on? You know, if you get hit by a drunk driver, yes, it was their fault for drunk driving, and they shouldn't have been doing that. But what are the odds that you cross paths with that person?
Yeah.
You know, you very well could have been 30 seconds before or after, and you never even would have known that almost happened to you. You know, like there is just some blind luck here, and it's not fair. It's not a happy way to look at it. But if you're willing to shut down everybody else's life because you're worried that you're going to have a little bad luck, man, I don't know what to tell you. You shouldn't leave the house.
Shouldn't leave the fucking house.
Yeah.
One of the weirdest texts that I've had to send is when Tisha was getting roto-rooted.
Both of our wives got roto-rooted.
Yeah, so my wife had to get the emergency shit.
That sounds really dirty.
So she had to have it was an emergency thing. Like she was fucking it was pretty bad. And texting my daughter like, oh, she's going in. They're gonna fucking check the shit out. Chances are nothing's gonna happen. She'll be out in about 5 to 30 minutes is what the doctor says. I was like, but shit ain't fair, and you know, anything can go wrong. Like texting that shit, like, hey, you know what? Chances are 99.9% of the chance, like nothing's gonna happen, but there's that 1% chance this bitch ain't gonna make it.
Yeah, my
So-
mom almost died having hand surgery.
Yeah.
She never had been exposed to a certain anesthetic, and they
Oh,
gave it to her, and it almost killed her.
shit.
And they woke her back up, and they're like, "Hey, you're back. Hey, we're gonna give you a different anesthetic because your blood pressure dropped to almost 0." So,
Shit. Man.
you know, and it's like, by the way, do you know 500,000 people die every year from medical mistakes?
Yeah, dude.
500,000. That's
Joan
more than
Rivers.
people. That's more than the people who died of coronavirus.
Have Rona.
And we're talking doctors here. Science.
Science.
Yeah,
Trust the
only listen to the
scientists.
science. You know what's not very scientific is the state of California opening up their restaurants and bars and all that stuff, saying, well, the data says that this is safe at this point, but
That's fine.
we can't share that data with you because it might be misinterpreted. That is not science. That's
or New York all of a sudden wanting to open up.
yeah. Coincidentally, Chicago, New York, and San Francisco and LA, right
wow.
after Biden takes office. Oh, now it's safe.
And you know what? One dude that I did see kind of call him out was Sean King. He said like January was the worst fucking month we've had. And this idea that Cuomo wants to open and all these fuckers want to open. Obviously, I disagree with him on that. That no, everybody should open and enter at your own risk. But the idea that Sean King, Mr. What do they call him? They call him all kinds of.
The he's passing.
The white dude that thinks he's
Yeah,
black.
who thinks he's black? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wait, DB Cooper's up in the house. I thought DB Cooper just died. Who's up in the chat under DB Cooper?
You thought DB Cooper died?
DB Cooper died. Yeah, dude. The guy who skyjacked that plane with all the money.
No, yeah, that. But I thought you were talking about the chat.
Yeah, this guy's name is DB Cooper.
Oh, well, maybe it's his fucking spirit.
Spirit. He's having a rough afterlife. He just got the first shot and he was sick for 3 days.
Shit.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I interrupted you.
I don't know. Yeah, I had already finished. So
Okay. So yeah, what was I can't remember what I was talking about now. But Disneyland's going to be a COVID vaccination site. Nice. Happiest place on earth. So I noticed something going on, and I don't know for sure if it's Fraud King. Yeah, Fraud King. Oh
No,
yeah, we're
they-
talking about Sean King and
Sean
his
King,
his
they call him
nicknames.
all kinds of other fucking shit. Yeah, but he
Should call him
called
Sean White,
Sean White.
Flying Tomato, Talcum X. That one's my
Talcum X,
favorite.
yes, yeah, Talcum X.
Yeah.
Talcum X.
I think Trenchwork was the first one to tell me about Sean King.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Fucking-
if you noticed right after the vaccine, right after the election, right after the inauguration, they were pushing the vaccine hard, but they were doing it with a trick. They kept telling the public that there was not enough vaccine to go around. They said, look at these long lines. These people aren't going to get the vaccine. The vaccine is not available. We don't know if everybody's going to be around or if everybody's going to have enough shots to take their second shot and blah, 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 blah. Are you telling me that these drug companies could not make enough of this moneymaker? There's no way they would come to market not ready to provide the full amount to make all that money.
Yeah.
All the media is doing is creating a false sense of scarcity. Oh, now I can't get the vaccine? Oh, now I want the vaccine.
Yeah.
You tell people there's no vaccine, they're going to line up to take it.
Well, that's I did a bit with Telemundo today. I did a segment about gun storage, and we started talking about the gun storage and laws and all that shit, and the COVID came up in that context, and because he was very misinformed about the laws. And I told him, I was like, that's kind of the problem with a lot of you reporters is you guys don't know what the fuck you guys are talking about when it comes to these stories. So I've seen people go up there and they just say what they think is the laws, but you guys don't know this shit. Like, you guys need to educate yourselves on this shit. Like, the COVID numbers, you guys take whatever. Like, I see you. I work with you guys. Like, you guys ain't necessarily bad people, and I don't think you're doing it on purpose over some scheme. Like, because I know these people. I know reporters. They just show up and like that one reporter that showed up to Denver Guns Day. Like, I don't think she has an agenda. I think she's just genuinely retarded. Like, I don't think there's an agenda there. I think it's just there's just a bunch of these people are just fucking retarded, and they just repeat whatever the fuck people say. And if you repeat what a politician says, well, the politician does have an agenda.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that people don't listen to politicians. They listen to reporters. They listen to the news. They for whatever weird reason still fucking trust that shit.
Well, I heard a clip of Rand Paul talking to, I think it was George Stephanopoulos. It might have been Anderson Cooper, and Rand Paul brought up the contested election, and Anderson Cooper said, that's 100% false, and that's misinformation and everything. And Rand Paul said, you're not supposed to be the one saying that. You're supposed to bring on somebody else who's going to say that. Your job is to bring these people together to talk, to disagree with each other. It's not your job to tell me what's
Correct.
true and what's not true. And I thought that was a really good point. And we've slipped into this idea that that whatever they say is true, and their job is not to report on what's
Correct.
true or not true. Their job is to go out and gather perspectives and evidence from both sides, and you get to decide what is true
Right.
and what's not true. But nobody's going to do that if you're just reading headlines.
Well,
So
I mean, by definition, a reporter is someone who just reports. Like that
Yeah.
that is it. That is all your job is to fucking report.
in my personal opinion, if you hear a journalist telling you that something is a baseless or not founded in truth or whatever, they're lying to you.
Correct.
That's not. They have an agenda to get you to think some way,
Correct.
instead of just letting you decide.
So here's what we're gonna do. We have the studio. We're just gonna fucking start a news agency here. So anybody who wants to be a reporter,
You really want to compete with Trump?
I don't give a fuck. Oh, he's starting his own shit.
No, people were guessing about that, but
Oh.
I don't think he said anything about that.
So we will start our own here in Colorado. If you want to be a reporter, if you want to do all that shit, hit me up and we will start that shit. But all you got to do is just report. That's it. No opinion. No.
Dude,
none of that shit.
speaking of reporters, in some data leak that I saw recently, it was on WikiLeaks. It was a WikiLeaks data leak that
What the fuck just happened here?
Gonzo Camaro. Are you serious with this? We just got spammed
We just-
hard. Well, let me pin this comment. Pin it.
Imagine not commenting.
Yeah.
Holy
Okay.
shit.
If he does that again, I'm gonna mute him. I won't ban him. I will mute him. YouTube is a perfectly balanced game with no exploits.
Jeez.
So in WikiLeaks, I found a document that reported all these different journalists' salaries across all these major publications, New York
Yeah.
Times, Washington Post, man. Dude, they do not make any money.
They're broke, dude.
Oh my God, they get paid so little.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, why would you put up with this?
It's insane. If anybody needs to be like talking about raises and shit like that, it's fucking journalists. No, dude, I've talked to some of these people, and field reporters are like the worst paid fucking people because they get paid a lot of them under $100,000. Some of them not even fucking close to $100,000. And then if you think they're really at work 12 hours a day,
Yeah, at least.
yeah.
Twitter never sleeps, man. That's where they get all facts from.
All their fucking facts from there, and they have to wake up to start preparing for the. So like the way the ones that only have nightly news, like all my homies at Univision Telemundo, they only do the night shift, but they still have to get up at 10, or be at the station at 10 a.m. Get everything ready for the 5 p.m. And then once they're done with the fucking 5 p.m., get ready for the 10 p.m. So they've been at it fucking 12 hours every fucking day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and can you imagine the emotional drain?
Okay. Oh, stop the fuck there. Who's that reporter? We need
Probably a
fucking
dude.
names. It better not be a fucking dude. What's the fucking name? I like chicks. I like boobies and vaginas. What is the name? I would like to support.
You know, it occurred to me finally why people pay for OnlyFans.
What is that?
Because why would you pay for anything at this point when it
Yeah.
comes to that? You know, that better not be true, DB Cooper. I do not want to hear that Kyle Clark has an OnlyFans. That better not be true. So
So I can't see DB Cooper's comments. Where are you seeing DB Cooper's comments?
they're on YouTube. Oh, but they're not showing up in the chat in live studio. Huh? That's
Oh,
interesting.
that's crazy.
In Restream.
Huh.
Okay, so why would you pay for that right now? It doesn't make any sense, but I finally figured it out.
What's that?
It's the same reason that dorks buy small batch whiskey, small batch cologne, small batch cat hair pillows. It's like it's something special just for you.
You're part of the club.
You're part of the inside club.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
What a giant waste of money though.
It's kind of like Patreon. Like all kinds of people have a Patreon and shit like that. Like, I'll give you special content. Like, well, you're kind of giving me the same content as everybody else.
I could see it for some people who are like really maybe unique on some level, but even then, I still don't get that, man. I
Correct.
mean,
yeah.
I don't mind. Like I've donated to podcasts before because I appreciate their work over decades, or not decades, but over a decade. You know, I feel like I get a lot of value, but 5 minutes of flogging your dolphin, I don't see that as value.
So Allison Stevenson.
What is a cat hair pillow? Go to my Patreon page. I'll tell you.
If her, let's see how much her OnlyFans is.
I do like. I think that's the jokes I've seen about OnlyFans is pretty funny.
I don't see her OnlyFans. Anyways, if it's $2, I'll throw $2.
Yeah, there it is. Made more money off 1 foot of my butthole than I did writing a Vice article. I think I actually read that article that somewhere else.
If she shows her butthole, I'll pay $200. I'll pay $2 for that shit. I will definitely throw $2 into that shit.
Vice should have stuck with their original content. They were a fashion and lifestyle
Yeah.
magazine. I'm sure they would have made way more money doing that
Well,
than trying to get into.
even when they branched out into not journalism, but they started doing some pretty decent documentaries.
Mm-hmm.
Even when they started doing that shit, it was pretty all right. And then they got into politics, and it's just like, you already knew where the fuck they were going. They just want to be CNN light, or CNN hardcore, I guess.
Well, judging by the way their fans or their reporters are going, I would say yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's pathetic what reporters get paid. And I don't know what they're all angling for. Like, why would you even want to do that job at this point?
It's nuts, dude. It's nuts. Just start your own shit and fucking pop out a titty every once in a while.
You know, if you did that on live TV, it'd probably help your OnlyFans. There is a weather girl in Colorado Springs who I'm sure is just probably less than a year away from an OnlyFans. She has there's a couple big storms moving in on a regular basis.
You should write her and be like, "Hey, buddy, I'll throw $2 on that."
Yeah. Like the Howard Stern of the 2A world. Edgar's farm. I'm Robin, Edgar's Howard. I used to listen to that when I was a teenager, and I was like, I didn't understand the dynamic going on between. I still don't understand the dynamic between Robin and Howard, because he is just nasty to her.
Oh, dude, he's fucking bonkers, dude. I've heard some of the shit he says to her, and like, but I think that's just it. I think she just knows she's getting paid like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
I did see Robin one time on Jay Leno about to beat the shit out of some other bitch that was talking shit about their show. and Robin is not ghetto. She's pretty sophisticated. She's so a lot of the people on radio are typically just ghetto as shit. And like if you listen to Kathy J and shit like that, like here locally, like it's just ghetto people.
Mm-hmm.
White trash, fucking ghetto as fuck. But she's not. She's like, she doesn't fit. Like if you looked at her, like, and you spoke to her, she's pretty well spoken, all that shit.
Oh, there you go, man.
And
there you go, pissing off all the black people.
And she fucking went off on this bitch, man. She went the fuck off. Why all the black people, fucker?
Well, you said she's well spoken. You can't say that, dude.
No, she's like just as a person, she's just well spoken. She's much more well spoken than anybody.
I'm just trying to do to you what you've done to me.
No, but then you
several times in the past.
You dig yourself your own hole by bringing.
No, I'm trying to dig you a hole right now.
No, but you fucking failed. You failed. I am Mexican. You cannot dig a hole for me.
Oh, that's
can't.
right.
Yeah.
Shoot, man, I forgot.
It doesn't fucking work.
I have to try building a wall instead.
Building a wall.
Speaking of walls not working, why are they building one around the Capitol building?
Because they don't work. I don't know. Spending money.
Just find it ironic, incredibly ironic. Yeah, I mean, I think Robin is funny. I just don't understand why she puts up with that. But maybe it is show business.
It's show business.
But I think after a couple of decades of being mistreated, you might finally be like, I think I could start my own thing.
But is she being mistreated?
I don't know.
Clearly, she don't think it.
I don't know. Even when I was 14, I was like, this woman has a very low self-esteem.
You think so?
I don't know, but when I was 14, I thought so.
Oh.
So I never really liked Howard Stern. It wasn't, any one thing in particular. It just wasn't really my style.
Now we are the Howard Stern of.
There we go. Now we just need you or me to take off our shirts.
To take off the shirts. Just next time, I'm just gonna have strippers in here and just fucking writing speakers and shit.
We're not gonna be able to see them if you don't lower that camera. because they're all going to be 3 feet tall.
All my midget strippers. Shit.
Yeah.
You should see the shit that my wife sends me. I was gonna show up, but then I'll embarrass her.
Midgets with rifles running around the studio.
Fuck yeah.
This idea has legs.
Pretty short lived, but
The NRA still has life members. I wonder how those life members are feeling right now.
I don't know, dude. I talked to a few of them, but of course that's only 2 or 3 of them. And I don't think they're sad that they lost their money. I think they're just more disappointed that.
Well, they haven't officially lost it yet, but
Correct.
I'm sure it's coming.
Yeah,
So-
and I don't think the move to Texas is really going to help anything. It'll help with their lawsuit in New York because they're like, oh, that fucking company don't exist anmoreso I don't know who you're suing.
Move to Texas? You mean more liberals are moving to Texas?
More
Oh! Well,
but
Dave's not happy about it.
I-
What was a lifetime membership? Was it like $700?
It depends. I think that I think some of them were $1,500.
Oh man,
I think some of them were 15.
people got money to burn, man.
And I was looking at when we were doing Guns for Everyone National, and I was looking for benefits. Like, what the fuck do you give people and shit like that? And I looked at their benefit shit, like it's really nothing. Like you have zero fucking benefit to joining them.
Well, you get
it's-
the magazine,
you get a
American
magazine.
Rifleman, the pillar of Second Amendment journalism.
The pillar of that shit. So you get that shit, and then really nothing else, other than you're just part of the club.
You get a bag made in China.
Made in China. So here we go.
I think you couldn't hold cotton balls in that bag without it tearing. Oh, a jacket,
Jacket,
$1,500 jacket.
$1,500 jacket. Which, to their credit, is more than what we give for our lifetime membership. We give you an email. You get an email, and it says thanks.
Well, we need to do patches.
Oh, we have patches.
GFE national patches.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
So speaking of patches, I've been giving away one patch every class to the best student in the class. And I gave away the patch yesterday to a brand new shooter. She had never fired her gun before, and she was brand new to it. And man, she did a fantastic job. No excuses, no complaining, even though her Smith & Wesson Shield Easy was tearing up her hand. She was a trooper. And the last thing we did for the day was to shoot at the steel target, and she put 2 magazines through her gun, and I think she missed the steel target twice in 2 magazines. So
Oh yeah.
from 10 yards, and she was shooting kind of fast too for a beginner. So
Goes to show. I mean, I tell a lot of people this, especially at the concealed carry classes when they're talking about like, oh, what's the progression like what class should I take next? I was like, you fucking the highest class that any instructor will allow you to take. I mean, there's certain classes where it's just like, I don't think you're ready for that, but
like
I think most people
like shooting in a house,
Yeah.
house.
Yeah, I think like most people, even if they're slightly retarded, they understand, because we've had more problems with the people that say I've been shooting my whole life than beginners.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they have bad habits, and they're convinced that they're not doing those bad habits.
Correct. So because of that, like anybody who's new, and they're like, oh, I don't know if I'm ready for that. No, you're fucking ready for that shit. There's no bad habits there. We can actually teach you. It's usually the people who are like, oh, I've been shooting my whole life. They're just like, fuck, here we go. This is going to be a fucking interesting one with this fucking asshole.
By the way, and this is not a knock against this guy, but it kind of is, but it's not. It's not meant to be, but it will be one. So we did a pretty simple drill with a good guy, bad guy, where you have one good guy in front of the target and a bad guy behind the good guy, and you just have to move around the good guy to shoot the bad guy. Nothing overly complex. You're just walking in a straight line until you have a clear shot, and then take the shot. And our new shooter did fantastic at it. She struggled with the first run with aiming and shooting at the same time, aiming, shooting, and walking. But the second time she picked it up, she's doing great, and everybody did a pretty good job. But my lovable boomer in the class, who had been shooting his whole life, and just needed a few pointers. As soon as we got to that scenario, man, you could physically see his heart rate shoot up as he walked around that good guy target and started shooting the bad guy target. And he went into the tactical turtle crouch, and he started blast, blah, 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 and then he turned around, and he was shaking as he turned around, pointed his gun at me. I was like, "Hey, dude, take a breath." I told him to take a breath.
It's crazy, dude.
He comes to the class with his 45, and I'm not judging the guy. I'm just pointing this out.
Yeah.
If you'd have asked him before that happened, if he would have responded that way, he'd have told you no.
No, correct.
And it's it's funny how you just add even the slightest bit of realism to a drill, and a lot of people just lose their minds.
Lose it.
Yeah. And I'm not above that. Like, I've done it too,
Fucking lose it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
crazy.
It was funny though. I mean, except for the part where I had a gun pointed at me. It's one of the very few times where I actually pushed his hand away, like, hey.
But you had your vest on, so no big deal.
I did not have my vest on for the pistol class.
Oh, no?
Because, a Carhartt jacket, that's basically bulletproof. So
essentially, yes.
Yeah.
It's made out of hose? Is that what it's made out of?
Yeah, rubber hose.
Rubber hose.
But anyway, I sometimes those patches go to the best shooter in the class or whatever, but it was just a really good example of somebody who came out ready to learn and who came out ready to not make any excuses and apply what they were learning. I don't know if I talked about that woman who came out to shoot with me after concealed carry class, who had never even touched a gun before.
Yeah, no,
she was terrified. Yeah. So
yeah, it's pretty incredible in all this shit. I mean, just with everything, when you just allow yourself to just fucking learn, or one thing that I've had to learn to be good at is just like, I'm just stuck in where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to let it do what it does. So GFE National has been that, which is why I haven't called any meetings. Because just like, I don't want to deal with none of you motherfuckers.
We got a little dictator in the making here.
Yeah. Like, I'm better at this than all you motherfuckers, but I guess. No, but you deal with that shit a lot better than I do. So there's a lot of times where it's just like, okay, I'm just not. I'm not there. I'm just. It's better for me to just hang back and not pretend that I'm even fucking remotely good at meetings and all that shit.
I want you to know, I was in a 2-hour and 45-minute meeting today, and I was actually enjoying myself. So I don't think we could be any different from each other. I swear to God, by the end of it, I was like, oh, it's over. 2 hours and 45 minutes without a break, right through lunch.
Yeah, the whole time for me, I'd be like, oh, you guys are fucking retarded. Will you guys just shut the fuck up? Let me do it all and then just call it good. And I'm not saying I'm right, because it's not the correct attitude. It's not the correct mentality. But I think if these boomers showed up to this class and be like, you know what? I do believe I know everything, but I'm here, so I'm here. Because once you immerse yourself in all that shit, you have to kind of go by. You just stand back a little bit. Like
I have to say something else about it too, because we meet at this rest stop off the highway. To all the students meet there, and then we drive out to the range together to keep everybody from getting lost. And and this guy had beaten me there. He was there before I was. I was on time. I
Yeah.
mean, I wasn't late.
Yeah.
But you know, he comes over and he's like, he asked me if I was Edgar, and I knew for simplicity's sake in the moment, I just said yes,
Yeah, sure, why not?
just because I'm like, this will be easier if I just say yes now, you know. And
Uh,
then you know, I went over to his car and I was like, I'm actually not Edgar. I'm Isaac. I'm teaching the class today. Or no, before that, he said, you know, this is a crazy way to meet. Like this doesn't make any sense. You know, he thought I was with Edgar. That's what he thought. He thought I was with Edgar. He thought I was with the class. He thought I was a student. You know, so
okay, good.
he starts bitching about the
meeting?
idea that we meet at a rest stop. You know, how are we supposed to know who each other are? Blah blah blah. So I let him get it all out of his system, and then I
Yeah.
was like, "Yeah, I'm actually teaching the class." What?
Well,
Yeah. And I was like, "And we've never lost anybody."
yeah. That's why we do it this way. Yeah, it's fun to fuck with these people. I've showed up because Tish and the kids usually get to the class before I do, just so that they could do their setup magic, and then
Which
ride
they're
in.
very good at.
Yeah, they're very good at it, and then I just ride in like a fucking the majestic king that I am. But there's times where I show up at 20, 15 minutes early, and then I see people huddling around the thing, and there's fucking nothing more amazing than to fucking just like, oh, this is probably a fucking scam. Occasionally you'll get people like, yeah, that's what I thought too. Like this seems weird. I was like, yeah, the dude's probably a fucking douchebag. Like I don't know what the fuck. I hope it goes okay. And then I fucking just text them like, hey, I'm here. And then they fucking let me in. And then I fucking shut the door on those fuckers. And now they have to stew.
And then
in
they can hear it lock, click.
And now they have to stew in that shit.
This is how you get your donations.
Yeah.
It's just guilt.
Fucking guilt.
Yeah.
Oh man, that shit's incredible. Which donation? Oh no, I'm gonna shut the fuck up. I was about to go into secret talk.
Secret talk.
Yeah, it has to do with the makers match, but that was secret talk.
Ooh, Maker's Match.
Secret talk. One thing that I want to talk about, way fucking off course. We were gonna talk about this earlier, and it seems like we have nowhere to go, so I want to bring it up. I don't know why I didn't know this. Microsoft saved Apple.
Oh, really?
Shit's crazy. Did you know that?
I did not know that. By making a crappy product?
No, by giving it money.
What?
Yeah, Microsoft was an investor in Apple.
What year was this?
I think 98.
So Bill
Gates fucking bailed out fucking Jobs
Gates got some of his fortune from
from Apple.
funding Apple.
Yeah, I mean they pulled out, so they didn't let it mature. Let me see. August
Wow.
6, 1997.
Of course, Dave would know that.
Yeah, August 6, 1997.
I get the impression Dave is like a computer historian,
I
like a
think Dave,
technology historian.
I think Dave just wants to show you that he knows. So he's like, I better know
Reminds me of
everything.
somebody else I know.
yeah. August 6, 1997. Oh,
Wow.
we shouldn't have said the date and fucking quizzed him on that.
Yeah,
shit.
see if he knew when.
See if he knew when. Yeah.
Yeah, years ago is not specific enough.
Yeah.
We're-
God damn
Yeah.
it.
Well, I mean, you know, there's a lot of little stories that nobody knows about. That
Shit's fucking bonkers, though. This idea that these two major competitors, it's about as bonkers as when I fucking first seen the commercial of Advil including acetaminophen in their product.
Wait, what?
That shit was insane to me.
Wait, no, it can't be very much.
Yeah, you got fucking Advil and acetaminophen. Fucking, it's like you add Coke and Pepsi together, dude.
Well, they tell you to alternate between
No, the two
Advil.
products. Yeah, dual action, fool.
You can't. You're not
and it-
supposed to take that much acetaminophen if you're alternating between Tylenol and Advil.
Oh, dude, I'm telling you,
It's liver damage, dude.
Oh my god, I'm gonna fucking have.
Like I know, like I'm a doctor.
You are a doctor.
Science.
Science, motherfucker. At this point, you might as well. Oh, it's incredible. If you've never tried it, try it, motherfuckers. Dual action with acetaminophen.
Oh, they make a product with acetaminophen, not
So-
regular off the shelf Advil Like not all Advil has acetaminophen in it.
Yeah, correct. They have a separate product that
Okay.
contains both acetaminophen.
Does Tylenol have a dual action?
They don't.
Oh man,
They
Advil out there innovating.
Innovative. I'm telling you, if Coke and Pepsi got together and combined their two products, whew, monopolize on that shit.
Oh, that would taste gross.
It'd be amazing, dude.
Mm.
It'd be fucking amazing.
So we got a bunch of stuff coming up.
What do we got?
Well, we got med classes coming up. We just sent out a press release today for our LGBT night.
We have
Nights,
2 of them.
plural.
Plural.
Nights and dames. So that would be February 23rd and 24th. That'll be fun. See if I can get myself in a rear naked choke with a young, attractive gay man again.
You had so much fun doing that shit.
Dude, I remember you just standing there looking at me like, this dude, what is he doing?
And to be fair, I would have had that reaction regardless.
Yeah.
But the fact that it was a gay class, like it amplified that shit even more. I was like, this dude's really liking this shit. Like, is he trying to tell me something? And no, sure enough, you enjoyed yourself just fine.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. That hasn't happened since, I can tell you that.
And we already have people signing up for both those classes. I'm pretty
hopefully they know what they're signing up for, because
yes,
that was one of the funniest things
yes
I have ever seen. Was
yeah.
Edgar had an LGBT night. This must have been like 2014. This was when you were in Westminster.
Yeah.
And there was a couple of people who signed up for this class not knowing what LGBT meant. And so he's doing the class, and like the guy, if I remember right, the guy was sitting in like the front row. He didn't even like notice all the fabulous dude behind him, literally wearing sequins jeans. And so you keep talking about LGBT, and at some point he's like, "What is LGBT?" And then it hit him.
Oh,
he was so awkward. He just was like, "Okay, I'm surrounded by them. I'm gonna just play this cool. I'm hip."
oh shit! Oh, that shit was amazing.
Hopefully that guy got a story out of it. Hopefully he did not go home and just not say anything for the rest of his life.
That shit's incredible, dude.
I had forgotten about that till this very moment.
Oh man.
Oh god,
Yeah.
that was funny.
When he found out, he was like, "Oh shit." Yeah, that shit was fucking amazing, dude.
It's like it's like Forrest Gump.
We need to write a book of all the retarded shit we've seen in our classes, dude. Like, it wouldn't be a super exciting. It'd just be a fucking a nice little thick book of just random stories of shit that's happened in our classes, dude. Two Sundays ago, so not this Sunday, but the previous one, that would make it fucking 2 Sundays ago. Doing my medical class, and I let you know about this shit. So I'm doing the medical portion, just letting people know just basic shit, and we're about I'd say 12:45. And about 11:45. Sorry. And we're almost done anyways. About to take a break. Telling these motherfuckers, hey, super important to fucking get your medical training. And all of a sudden I hear of the fucking commotion. Oh shit! Oh shit! And then people are clearing. I'm like, what the fuck just happened here? And there's this dude fucking passing out and fucking just like, oh shit just got real. So this dude passes out on his fucking date, his girlfriend, whatever the fuck she was, passes the fuck out. And maybe about a minute later, he's like, what the fuck? Like, what just happened? Did I just pass out? Like, yeah, buddy, you just passed the fuck out. So the nurses tend to him. Turns out, according to the nurses, like it all seems like He's just a little bitch and couldn't hang with his hangover. So he had a hangover, no food in his system, and his.
So
blood-
he was just sitting down and he passed out.
Yeah, so
Wow, dude.
You know how it gets toasty in classes
take-
sometimes.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So I think the heat, just the mouth breathers, and I keep my shit cold, so I keep my shit like in the mid 60s. But you still have people breathing next to you and
Mm-hmm.
getting hot and shit like that, and he just fucking passes out. He tells the nurses like, "No, I'm hungover."
Dude.
So I bet you that bitch is like, "Fuck this bitch." He can't
Like,
even.
I
handle
drank more than you last
Yeah,
night.
can't even handle sitting down.
That's hard work, man. Yeah. Actually, you called me last night. I was in the shower when you called me, but I saw your phone call. I was so tired. I was like, I'm not even gonna call this full bag. But I had been on my feet for 2 days, doing the classes, and even though it's January, the weather was
Whatever.
beautiful.
You were wrestling with fucking sequence jeans, man.
I was boomer wrestling. There you go. There's a show title for you. Boomer wrestling. Yeah. I was dodging bullets, dude. I was rolling around on the ground. Yeah. All right. I want to wrap this up with a funny story.
Funny.
Okay, this is not my story, but I recently found my file. I had been building this file for many years when I worked at my last job, news clippings back, because when I worked at my last job, people still got newspapers. So I would collect things like this, which you might be able to see, you might not be able to see, but this is a picture from Saddam Hussein's trial.
Clearly before memes.
Yeah, clearly before memes. And here's Saddam Hussein laughing his ass off at his own trial. I like collecting stuff like that. So I got a news story here that it just gets better and better. So this is what is this? May 2nd, 2011. Rat causes fatal car crash, Miami rescue says. One person was killed and 5 others injured after a rat caused a car crash in Miami Sunday night, authorities said. The bizarre incident. Now, you think like rat chewed a line, hole in a line,
Correct.
Lights went out, people crashed. Well, it's better than that. The bizarre incident happened just after midnight in the area of North Miami and 29th when the rat caused an explosion that knocked out streetlights at the intersection. Believe it or not, a rat was at the top of one of the light poles and chewed through one of the fusible links at the top of the pole. And this caused the streetlights to go out, said Captain Joseph blah, blah, blah. I can't even pronounce that. City of Miami Fire Rescue. He said a group of people from a nearby bar went to investigate what happened. What caused the explosion were standing on the sidewalk when 2 cars collided because the lights were out.
Whoa.
As they were looking at the rat, 2 vehicles approached the intersection. These vehicles collided and unfortunately hit some of the pedestrians. Some hit 6 people.
Whoa.
1 person died at the scene. 5 others were rushed to nearby hospitals. They are in stable to serious condition, he said. Frank Negron said he went to investigate the explosion and was shocked at what he saw. So picture this. This is his description. I saw the explosion and all the lights went out. He said, we were trying to figure out what was the cause of the explosion. And then someone said, there's a dead rat here on the floor. And sure enough, it was smoking. And then the car crash happened, he said, and his friends, 6 of them, were hit by the cars. A few of my friends who were standing on the sidewalk got pinned down by one vehicle. We had to lift the vehicle up and get a young lady out and another young man, he said, Negron said, who was bewildered by the chances of the incident happening. 1 in a million, he said. I think it's a lot higher than that.
Yeah, dude.
So, like, the rat didn't climb into the little, fuse box and, like, gnaw through the wire. And he was on top of the light pole, bit into something, exploded, landed on the
dude.
sidewalk, drew a crowd, which that's some Final Destination stuff right there, dude. That is crazy.
Dude, that shit's bonkers. Where'd that happen?
Miami.
Of course it happened in Florida.
Of course it happened in Florida. Florida man killed by rat in bizarre traffic accident. That should have been the title.
Of course. Anything in Florida, just of course it's Florida.
Yeah, of course it's Florida.
That's the fucking title.
Saddam's trial should have been in Florida.
That would've been
So-
incredible.
I hope to have more of these stories in the future.
We hope to have podcast.
Yeah, so
in the future.
yeah, I'll talk about that afterward. But
Yeah,
I do have a plan. So
So I appreciate you guys sticking around. GunsForEveryoneNational.com. Become a member. We really, honestly, our biggest perk right now is we're working with as many companies as possible to offer you guys discounts for them. Colorado Kydex is one of the local companies that we're working with, 1770 Armory. Big shout out to them. Cool story. Oh, shit, we're not going to end it on your funny story, but
your story.
so I hit up 1770 Armory. I was like, hey, do you guys want to partner up? We've got the Guns for Everyone National. And they're like, yeah, let's see what we could do. And I told them all we need from you guys is just offer a discount to our members and that type of shit. And they're like, yeah, we're going to meet. They weren't meeting. I was like, hey, fuckers, what the fuck? They're like, all we could do is 2% of our profits donate it to you. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? That's not what I asked for. So it's just cool of them to even consider donating part of their profits to Guns for Everyone National. That's not what they're doing, not because they don't want to, but because that's not what we had asked for. So hit us up for discount codes. Again, Colorado Kydex, he makes holsters. Members get a discount with them. Cerakoting over at the Gun Factory. They're not called the Gun Factory anymore. They're High Country Armory now, but they're located in Denver. If you need Cerakoting and shit like that, we could get you guys discounts for that as well. So we're working with on getting you guys discount codes with a few other companies as well as we speak. So anyways, that's kind of the major benefits there, and then you help promote good education across the U.S. with that shit as well. So GunsForEveryoneNational.com, GunsForEveryone.com, FirearmsTrainingCentral.com, all kinds of other shit.com, GetMeAMidget.com.
You should get that domain and just forward it to Guns for Everyone National.
Yeah. So, we appreciate you guys. Thanks for coming out.
You guys are the best.